Hey folks, I really don't like negative videos. I generally avoid them as much as I can, but this time, yeah, we need to talk. Because I don't know how else to describe what is happening other than Saber somehow sitting on a golden egg and still managing to fumble it. Not once, but twice. It's like they didn't learn the first time, and now both Expeditions and RoadCraft are stuck in this weird limbo of almost great but ruined by the decisions that honestly make zero sense. And look, I'm not here to hate, I'm here because I want these games to succeed, but when a studio repeats the same exact catastrophic mistake back to back and then acts surprised when things go south, yeah, it deserves a conversation. So let's break down what actually happened, why Expeditions flopped, why RoadCraft is following the same trajectory, and how save corruption, plummeting player numbers, and other things are shaping this whole mess. So, first up, Expeditions. Recently, Saber officially announced that they'll no longer develop new content for Expeditions, the MudRunner game. And straight away, you can see where things already went wrong. Those last three words, the MudRunner game. By attaching the MudRunner name, they unintentionally set a massive expectation. People assumed this was going to be MudRunner 2, or at least something that carried the same spirit, same identity, the same philosophy. A lot of us jumped on day one expecting that slow, methodical, detail-rich off-roading we all know and love. What we got instead was a strange combination of good driving physics mixed with everything else that didn't make sense. The trucks looked goofy, the controls felt unfinished, the minigames were generally rough, there was no cohesion between Expeditions, and replayability basically didn't exist. It felt like they built a solid engine and then rushed every system around it. Early impressions were rough and they stuck. And to be fair, this video isn't meant to dig into every problem Expeditions had, because the truth is, they polished it. The game is much better now. They brought in improvements, features, fixes, and it's actually quite decent these days. But here's the issue. It's too little, too late. Their big attempt to get the players back was a free weekend. Smart move, right? Except while giving players free access, they introduced a save corruption bug. So not only did the few players who still cared lose their progress, but the brand new players trying the game for the first time walked straight into the burning house. Players logged in, had fun for a bit, discovered their saves were broken, realized the game was unstable, and never touched it again. And just when you think things couldn't get worse, RoadCraft somehow manages to repeat the exact same storyline. You might not believe this, but RoadCraft is now following the same path. And the most frustrating part, players didn't set unfair expectations, Saber did. Because every single trailer, every single clip, every single piece of marketing leading up to the game's launch was designed to target the MudRunner and SnowRunner fanbase. Remember that reveal trailer? They knew exactly what they were doing. A scout vehicle exploring ruins, a devastated landscape, a Kirovets pushing rubble, a Taiga sinking into the mud, a vehicle mounted crane lifting containers. It was literally a SnowRunner fan's dream scenario. And because of that, the player numbers on release day were massive. People didn't show up because of RoadCraft's name. They showed up because they trusted Saber's off-roading legacy. So when some players say, "This isn't SnowRunner, stop expecting SnowRunner," it's actually ridiculous. If Treyarch made another first-person shooter but changed the name and marketed it with assault rifles and kill streaks, would you not compare it to Call of Duty? Of course you would. Saber knew exactly who they were selling this to. But what they didn't show in the trailers was that all of the hardcore mechanics were stripped out. No proper customization, no gearboxes, no fuel system, no hard mode. Hell, there wasn't even a basic ability to turn the engine on or off. Everything was easy, arcadey, simplified, grindy, and shallow. You can't call something a a progression-heavy construction survival sim, and then remove the depth that makes those systems so engaging. And this is coming from me and an audience perfectly happy spending 100 hours in a moor stuck in snow, delivering metal beams uphill at 3 miles per hour. If we find something boring, that's genuinely impressive. So no, RoadCraft didn't dip because players expected SnowRunner. It dipped because the game removed the very things that made Saber's off-road titles iconic. To be fair, Saber finally realized things weren't working for RoadCraft, so they began catering for the original audience. They added difficulty modifiers, fuel consumption, gearbox controls, engine toggling, basically everything that should have been there day one. They pushed out some stability improvements, performance tweaks, stutter fixes, and all things that should help the player base return. And the plan was simple. Re-release the demo with all these improvements paired with update 5 and the new Timberworks DLC. That should have been a good rebound moment, a clean slate, a chance for players to rethink the game. But instead, Reddit and Discord started lighting up with reports of save corruption. Again, people's logs reappearing on the maps, roads they cleared has suddenly been buried in rubble again, hours of progress just evaporating. Then Saber had to put out this statement. We've reverted update 5, the Timberworks DLC, and the RoadCraft demo due to save corruption. They rolled back the update, they pulled the DLC back, they removed the demo, basically everything. And here's a deja vu moment. This is exact same mistake they made with Expeditions. Trying to bring the players back while breaking their saves at the same time. And as of recording this video, it's been 2 days and it's still not been fixed. The update barely added anything major. It wasn't a gigantic overhaul. This wasn't a season levels of content. This was just a normal patch. And yet somehow it still introduced game-breaking issues. Players are fed up. And honestly, rightfully so. Because think about it. RoadCraft is a title who has a track record of breaking things after few updates. Stumps reappearing? That's not the first time. This has been happening repeatedly. For example, this one player spent hours carving a perfect little highway in this map. Then, an update later, it all respawns, there's stumps in the middle of his tarmac road, and it kind of wipes his progress. It genuinely feels disrespectful to players' time. And what makes it worse is just how easily avoidable this is. I mean, there's the half an hour of testing, would have caught it instantly, but instead, they rush out the update, then rush out a warning not to use the update, then they rush out the reversion, pulls everything back from the stores, then they apologize for the save corruption. I mean, all while players lose their progress. At this point, it's hard not to feel like we're watching a circus instead of developing pipeline. And look, I'm honestly grateful that the SnowRunner universe has been fairly stable lately. Sure, we had some scares in the past, but nothing on the level of what's happening with the RoadCraft. SnowRunner right now feels like a calm sailing compared to this kind of chaos. Look now, I'm not typically a doomsayer, but I want RoadCraft to genuinely succeed. I want it to reach its potential. There's loads of potential in that game. Expeditions is already too far gone and they said they're not creating any more content for it, so let's forget about that. But RoadCraft still has time. They just need to stop rushing these updates, stop repeating the same mistakes, and most importantly, start respecting players' time and progress. Release stable content, test your updates properly, communicate clearly when things go inevitably wrong, and actually start leaning into the mechanics that made the MudRunner and SnowRunner timeless. Why are they so allergic to the SnowRunner and MudRunner formula? Cater to the players that kept your titles alive. It's easy, you're literally sitting on a golden egg. It's not rocket science, but apparently it's not happening, right? Yeah, deep breath, but that's everything I've got for you today, guys. What do you think about this whole situation? How should RoadCraft bring the players back? What would make you return if you left and stopped playing the game? Drop your thoughts in the comments down below, and as always, I'll catch you in the next one. Take care, folks.